Okay, on the laptop here, if we go into setup, into launch control, I've got it at 3400, so let's crank it up to 4000. See if we can get it to sound a bit better. Oh, my fucking battery just died. Alright, we're not doing that, because the battery in the laptop just died. Now I'm stuck with a weak two-step. There's only one thing to do. That's to do a skid. A few people asked to make a video of how I actually went about doing this, and it really was pretty cheap. Like it cost me about $1,000, I think, all up, including the turbo, the computer, and all that other bits and pieces. So the first thing that I did was added this fuel pressure regulator. The standard 3Z has one that is sufficient, so you don't actually need to buy one of these. You can just leave this stock, but I wanted to be able to see and adjust the fuel pressure, so I got a adjustable one. This is just a size, I think it is. I'll put a link up right over here somewhere. It's pretty cheap. So that was the first piece that I bought. The second piece was this adapter to fit the hose. That's actually off a Subaru. I got that off eBay. It comes with a little fitting, and I'll also put a link to that somewhere up on the screen here with a price. Right, so that's pretty much the fuel side of it done. The other thing that I did do was I put in a Aeroflow 350 litre fuel pump, just like an in-tank one, but on 7 pounds that's not even needed. You can just run the standard fuel pump and all the standard fuel, everything. I still have the standard rail, nothing else. I pulled off the throttle body and I ported it and polished it. One thing that you got to make sure is that you don't open or port the part where the butterfly actually closes, that couple of millimeters. If you open that up too much, you're gonna have like idling problems and all sorts of stuff. So I just did it on the two sides. Wasn't nothing serious though, just a little bit of sanding and a little bit of metal polish. Right, next, this manifold here is pretty rough, but it doesn't leak. It's just made from steam pipe. There's probably, you can buy here in where I am, there's a local metal store, metal recycler, and he sells scrap metal for like $2 or $3 a kilo or something like that. So you can buy tons of steel for cheap. That's how I bought pretty much everything to do this. I only have a little tiny gasless welder, a Viper thing. You can see on my chicken shit or whatever they call it, but nothing leaks. So I don't really care about all that. I do need to practice welding. Right, next, so the manifold. Turbo, I'll put a link up on, it's a max speeding rod, 3080, 8036 or 3086, I can't remember which way the number, GT 3086 or 3080. I'll put the link up here with the price. It's cheap, like super cheap, but they're pretty awesome. Right, now, so the oil feed for the turbo. I'm gonna put the phone down, I don't know if it's gonna work too well. But down on the oil filter housing, down here, you can see that little fitting that comes with a little black one. There. It's like a little port, I guess, to clean. It's just bunged off. I just took the bung to the shop, got a fitting to like a AN, metric to AN fitting, screwed it in, and then the line was a pre-existing line I had on the shelf down there. The water for the turbo, I don't run water on this turbo, but if you were to, the two hoses down the bottom now that you can see coming out with the hose clamps on them on the right, they're like water cooling for your oil filter housing. So basically you just splice into them and run the one that goes in onto the inside of the inlet, and then the outlet to your turbo, which is here. And you just get some AN fittings. So yeah, you steal your water and your oil right down there at the water housing, and that's the only other thing that you need to tap into. So you run your oil and your water. I've not run water on this one. I probably should, but it's been going for 6 months so far, and honestly the thing's not missed a beat. Okay, so that's where you get your oil and your if you look down there in the middle, that's the O2 bung. It's just on this, the vertical part of the downpipe. So I run the like an innovative gauge and an O2 sensor, but I still have the standard O2 sensor on the exhaust, which is like way further down under the car. We could have a quick squiz. Where is it? It should be like there somewhere. There it is. Now the exhaust, I just ran the 3-inch dump straight back. I kept the catalytic converter because I don't want any problems, and I think it's like a 2-inch or 2.5-inch exhaust out the back. But if you keep that standard O2 sensor in, I honestly think it takes like a week for the computer to figure it all out. Like some people say, you just drive it for a few hours, ease onto the boost. I reckon just drive it for a week, and then it will have sorted itself out. Intake. So I don't have an intercooler, which is probably not the smartest of things. But what I have noticed is that there's like basically zero turbo lag, and when it gets too hot, because obviously you're just puffing in hot air, the actual standard computer will dump in a bunch of fuel and cool it down. Again, probably not ideal, but it's just what I've done. So I chopped the box. There's like normally a big box there. I chopped that off, blocked up a few of the holes. I had to actually add on a couple of little hose outlets for things. The intake, I just made this pipe that fit in here, and I siliconed the airflow meter to the end of it. If you were to run a standard ECU, you'd just leave it like this. I mean, put a filter on it probably, but people say, oh, it has stalling issues and all that sort of stuff. The stalling problems, I know for a fact, is when you knock out the catalytic converter and put on a huge exhaust and then try and fire it up with a standard ECU, it can't deal with it. It needs that week to sort everything out. Then you do hang on, brain fart. Then you start playing with exhaust, and then you can, if you've got like an aftermarket computer, you can tune it a bit and all that sort of stuff. But I honestly think just leave that catalytic converter in the stock O2 sensor, and you shouldn't have any dramas. I don't have stalling problems. I don't have anything. I just have wheel spin problems. It has a locker, and I mean, it's fun, but you have to be careful. These are quicker on 7 pounds than what you think. Right, so this is the intake, and it just goes straight to the turbo. You've got one port coming off it for your wastegate. The wastegate I have is a Turbo Smart Ultragate 38, which I had given to me. Had a busted diaphragm and no springs, so I got a new diaphragm for like $50. And then the guys at Shed King, I went and visited them one day, and they were like super nice enough to give me a couple of springs to try out, and we found the 7 pound spring was perfect. 10 pound spring, it ran out of fuel for the injectors, not for the pump and all the other bits and pieces, but for the actual injectors. But 7 pound, it's just absolutely perfect. And just got a little screamer there. There's no blow-off valve on this. I have the anti-surge turbo, sort of sounds like it's got a blow-off valve rather than going the normal sound. So yeah, you can pause this. All this stuff's real simple. It's just a T-piece and stealing vacuum. The radiator is standard. The oil dump from the turbo is pretty simple. You just take off the the oil pan, drill a hole in it, weld the bung. Well, weld the bung first, then drill the hole. Put a line on it. The only thing that I've done that is for like, it's not right. The only other thing I have is this ECU Master DET3 Plus. It has a inbuilt 4-bar map sensor. You can plug your laptop into it and tune it. It's a piggyback system, so you can add in fuel. It'll add and minus fuel. It's a really good system, and they're about $400. I think I paid I'm sure I paid under 400, but I'll put a link up in the corner. It has 2-step or launch control. You can add nitrous control, water methanol. It has a ton of inputs for sensors, so they're really popular in Europe. Heaps of people use them over there, but I just got it because it was cheap and tons of videos to figure out how to wire it up, which, to be honest, I spliced into a couple of wires and plugged it in, plugged the laptop in, started it up, and it was fine. Nothing else.